Have you ever wondered why some people who call themselves your friends don't truly act like it? Or have you ever sensed that behind someone's smile, there was something else, an unspoken resentment, a tension that didn't fit the word friendship? We often think that fake friends are easy to spot, but the truth is that most of them are far more subtle. They rarely announce themselves with open betrayal. Instead, they hide behind small gestures, casual words, or a carefully maintained mask of politeness. Carl Jung once said that people do not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. That applies just as much to relationships as it does to inner life. To truly understand who stands by you and who doesn't, you have to bring into the light the hidden motives and patterns of behavior that expose false friends. In this video, we'll go deeper into the only two psychological signs that truly reveal when someone isn't a real friend. These are not surface-level tips or clichés, but insights grounded in psychology and in Jung's exploration of the human shadow. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to the Mental Dose channel and join our Telegram community so you won't miss the upcoming videos on personal and spiritual growth. Now, let's get started. Friendship and deception. Friendship is often described with words like loyalty, trust, and mutual growth. Yet, research in social psychology reveals that not all friendships rest on these ideals. Robin Dunbar, a psychologist known for his work on human social networks, demonstrated that while we may know hundreds of people, we can only sustain a small inner circle of genuine, emotionally close relationships. Within that circle, loyalty is everything. When someone occupies that space without true loyalty, deception and disappointment inevitably follow. Fake friends thrive in this gap between appearance and reality. They present themselves as allies, but are motivated by insecurity, rivalry, or hidden resentment. Carl Jung's concept of the shadow explains why this happens. The shadow represents the aspects of ourselves we deny or repress, the qualities we don't want to acknowledge. When people carry unacknowledged envy, insecurity, or fear, they may project these feelings outward. Instead of confronting their own shadow, they place it onto you, the so-called friend. Outwardly, they offer support, but beneath the surface, they are unsettled by your presence, your successes, or your growth. Once we understand this psychological foundation, the first true sign of a fake friend becomes easier to recognize. It doesn't usually appear as open betrayal, but as something far more subtle. The first psychological sign: hidden resentment. The first psychological sign of a fake friend is consistent undermining. Unlike open hostility, this sign is subtle, often disguised as humor, advice, or even support. For example, when you share an achievement, they might congratulate you but immediately qualify it. That's great, but honestly, a lot of people get that opportunity. When you're excited about a success, they might remind you of a time you failed. Remember when you tried something similar before and it didn't work out? At first, these comments may seem harmless, even playful. But over time, the pattern becomes clear. They are not building you up. They are keeping you in place. Research on envy, such as Richard H. Smith's envy theory, and Research 2008, shows that when people feel threatened by another's success, they often engage in behaviors designed to minimize or devalue that success. Fake friends become masters at this, disguising envy as advice or sarcasm. Jung's theory of projection helps us understand why the aspects of themselves they dislike, their failures, insecurities, and fears, are projected onto you. When they undermine you, they are really attacking the reflection of their own shadow. But for you, the effect is disorienting. Instead of leaving interactions feeling supported, you leave questioning yourself. Over time, this hidden resentment erodes confidence and trust, making it one of the clearest psychological signs of false friendship. And yet, many people ignore this behavior because it feels subtle. That's why it's important to pause and consider why this sign matters so much. Why it matters. But why is this first sign so important? Because it hides in plain sight. Real friends sometimes critique us, but the intent is constructive. Fake friends critique us to keep us small. That distinction is subtle but vital. Research on relational aggression, a concept studied in developmental and social psychology, shows that indirect hostility, like gossip, backhanded remarks, or disguised criticism, can damage self-esteem and relationships just as much as overt conflict. It chips away slowly, leaving the victim unsure of what's real. When someone consistently undermines you, it tells you that their loyalty is conditional. They want your company, but not your success. They value proximity, but not your growth. This is why Jung's insight into the unconscious is so powerful. Until you make the shadow of another person's behavior conscious, you remain at its mercy. By naming the pattern, consistent undermining, you begin to see clearly what is happening, and clarity is the first step toward freedom. If undermining tends to reveal itself in moments of your success, the second sign of a fake friend shows itself most clearly in the opposite condition, in your moments of struggle. Before we move on to the second sign, if this video is giving you clarity, think about sharing it with someone who might benefit from it. And if you'd like to support this kind of thoughtful content, you can use the thanks button below. Every bit of support truly makes a difference. Now, let's continue. Absence in need. The second, and perhaps the most definitive, sign of a fake friend is absence when it truly matters. A real friend may not always be there for every casual event or every small conversation, but when life tests you, their presence is steady. A fake friend, by contrast, has a pattern of vanishing in your moments of struggle. Psychological research on social support demonstrates that the perception of reliable help is one of the strongest predictors of resilience. Knowing that someone will show up for you in hard times is what defines trust. When someone consistently fails to show up, their actions speak louder than their words. They might reappear when life is easy, when there's fun to be had or benefits to gain, but when things get difficult, they distance themselves. Jung believed that the authenticity of a relationship is revealed in times of suffering because hardship strips away the masks people wear. In suffering, unconscious motives rise to the surface. A fake friend who disappears during your hardest moments reveals that their friendship was never about true loyalty. Their absence is the shadow breaking through, exposing that the connection was built on convenience, comfort, or self-interest, not care. If the first sign shows us how fake friends act when you rise, the second sign exposes them when you fall. Together they complete the picture. Putting it together, the two signs, undermining disguised as support and absence in your moments of need, form a complete picture of false friendship. One operates during your success, the other during your struggle. One chips away at your confidence when you rise, the other abandons you when you fall. Together, they reveal who truly stands by you. Recognizing these patterns is not about becoming suspicious of everyone or sinking into cynicism. It is about cultivating consciousness, as Jung emphasized. By making the unconscious visible, we protect ourselves from being controlled by it. When you learn to identify these two signs, you no longer confuse surface-level friendliness with real friendship. You gain the clarity to set boundaries, to invest in relationships that nurture growth, and to step away from those that drain it. Friendship is one of the most valuable aspects of human life, but only when it is real. By noticing these two psychological signs, hidden resentment through undermining and absence, when you truly need support, you expose false friends and protect your own growth. Carl Jung's insight into the human shadow reminds us that people often hide their true motives, but patterns of behavior always reveal them. Once you see them, you cannot unsee them. Now, I'd like to hear from you. Have you ever noticed these signs of fake friendship in your own life? Share your story in the comments below. I read every one, and if you found this video meaningful, make sure to subscribe to Mental Dose for more insights on psychology, personal growth, and relationships.